2023 was a bad year for wrestling, but what show was the least worst of them all? We're going to find out because it's the brand of the year 2023 Fog Awards. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. We have the 4 nominations. There was NXT, SmackDown, Raw, and Dynamite. And before some people say, what about Impact Wrestling or what about Collision? I think out of the 4 shows, these are the 4 shows that deserve to be on the list. Now, if Collision had been around for the full year, I would have probably said Collision over Dynamite, but it hasn't been around. Plus, since CM Punk left, it's turned into Dynamite Light. So I think I'm justified in putting Dynamite above Collision. As for Impact Wrestling, haven't watched it, so watched 1 episode of it, can't say it deserves to be on this list. Don't watch Ring of Honor.
Let's be real, right? You have to put Raw and SmackDown on it. You just have to. Raw and SmackDown have to be on this list, and NXT's been better than them 2 consistently, so how the hell can that not be here?
Yeah, so that leaves one other option, and I just thought it'd be better to put the AEW flagship show on it, because that's the one that we watch the most out of any other.
Why didn't you put NWA Power? I wonder why.
So there you go, guys, right? And coming in at first place, in my opinion, undeservedly, I can't believe it's got this much of the vote, but 59% of the vote does go to WWE SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown. Look, I'm under no illusion. A couple of years ago, SmackDown was actually, I would go as far as saying it was okay. I don't think it was good, but for me, that period of time, it was hands down the best wrestling show. Hands fucking down. And I'd say I was watching it, and I was watching SmackDown, and I was actually watching it and somewhat enjoying it. You know, I wasn't watching it going, oh, this is shite, this is bad. We were getting some good stuff. The Bloodline stuff was kind of early on with Edge, with Sami Zayn doing his whole conspiracy thing. I think we had a lot of good things. Seth Rollins was on SmackDown. Brock Lesnar was on SmackDown. I think SmackDown about 2.5 years ago, was probably, that's when it was at its peak. Maybe like 2020, 2021 SmackDown.
Alongside Cena as well. You know, I mean, even SummerSlam, you'd Cena against Reigns and then Brock come out.
Yeah,
SmackDown just felt like, you had to watch it a wee bit.
For me, SmackDown didn't feel like that this year, but it's won with 59% of the vote. Coming in second place with WWE Raw with 20% of the vote. I'm not too sure about that. Third place, we have Dynamite with 11% of the vote, and in last place, we have WWE NXT with 10%. I'm actually shocked that NXT here is the lowest rated brand, so you guys believe that NXT is the worst out of these 4. That's mad to me. I can accept SmackDown winning, but I find it difficult not to put NXT second.
Yeah, for me, I would put NXT first. I think just based off our ratings alone, if you averaged it, NXT would be a clear first. Raw, between Raw and Dynamite, I would say Raw is consistently worse, but I'd say Dynamite has the worst shows. If that makes sense. Either way, I mean, it's not a good fucking toss-up, is it?
Personally, my choice would have been the way it's been listed. I would have probably went NXT, SmackDown, Raw, Dynamite.
Yeah.
I could maybe switch Raw and Dynamite about.
I'm not going to argue too much with it, yeah.
I could maybe switch SmackDown and NXT about, but I certainly don't think NXT was the worst show, and I don't think it deserves to only have 10%. But let's see what you guys said in the comments. So Big West 95 said SmackDown started off great, but it's got a bit stale in my opinion. I agree, I think it's very stale. SSJ4 Omega said this year is AEW's absolute worst year. And I think it is. I think AEW gets worse every single year. And, yeah, I mean...
And based off what's happening at the end of this year, it's going to get worse next year. I don't see how it gets better.
Yeah, see...
They're losing people. Andrade, I mean, MJF probably going to go. Sting's retiring.
I think 2024's got potential to be WWE's best year in a while. I think 2024's got potential to be AEW's worst year ever.
Yeah.
That's what I'm predicting.
Big problem.
User HTML said TNA. TNA returning to total non-stop action. Could be on this list next year.
Maybe.
We're gonna watch it. We're gonna give it a chance. I mean, it could be there, but we'll see. Kadeem G61 sounds like a Japanese promotion or Japanese tournament. It says WWE sucks in 2023. That's coming from a wrestling smart because WWE is still PG and still trash. Okay, Kadeem. Well, that's good to know that you're a wrestling smart. Corey Hall says exactly. It's coming from a wrestling smart, therefore not to be ever taken seriously. Yeah, I'll let you two guys have your argument in the section. Edward Morgan, AEW is a separate company, so your vote is flawed. All right, let's see that, Edward Morgan. What did the poll say? Brand of the year. Brand of the year is Dynamite a brand? Yes, it is. I never said AEW. I never said All Elite Wrestling. I said AEW Dynamite. I didn't say AEW. If I say AEW, you could have an argument, but you don't have an argument. These are shows, okay? These are brands. So the question stands, okay?
Your argument's dead, my friend.
Could have said show, could have said brand, but I didn't say company, and therefore I said AEW Dynamite. That is one of their brands. That is one of their shows. Just like the difference between Dynamite, Collision, Rampage. So it is entitled to be there. There is no flawed argument, okay? There is no flawed vote. Your comment is flawed.
Sit this, Eddie.
Kadeem says SmackDown is a shell of its former self. Well, they still have some very interesting matches. The Bloodline storyline has already passed its expiration date, so SmackDown was above average. I don't watch NXT anymore. It was awesome with Black and Gold, and then they turned it into a main roster orientated show. That didn't make sense. I thought you're focusing on stars for the future, but all you care about is main roster. I'm sorry, HBK, you're still one of the best wrestlers of all time, but as an NXT GM, a far cry.
Hold on, let me just address this Kadeem prick. All Black and Gold was 37-year-old indie jobbers. NXT now is like 20-year-olds.
Yeah, it's trying to build stars for the future.
So listen here, Kadeem, know your role and shut your fucking mouth.
I just don't get that.
It's
Black and Gold was a bunch of old guys for the indies.
They haven't done anything.
That were never going to make it on the main roster. NXT's actually pushing guys now that are young and could be like the main eventers in like a couple of years' time. Your Braun Breakers, your Carmelo Hayes, guys like that. So
yeah,
you know, I don't agree with that whatsoever. Yeah, but
let's move on though. Raw has jumped the shark still. Seth Rollins continues to tank in the ratings.
Oh yeah, hold on as well. Even when you look at the NXT women's division, don't you have like people like Stratton and Cora Jade and Valkyrie and Roxanne Perez?
Yeah, all young.
Young, whereas you look at NXT Black and Gold, wasn't that being like headlined by the likes of Asuka went back to NXT, Shayna Baszler, women that were already well into their 30s and weren't the future?
No.
So I don't honestly see how... I don't agree with your comment whatsoever. I do agree that Michael sucks as a GM. Don't think he does a good job. I don't think he's got the presence for a GM, an authority figure. I think William Regal's a far better. I agree with that, but I don't agree with all the stuff. Raw has jumped the shark still. Seth Rollins just continues to tank in the ratings because his heavyweight championship reign was a wet fart in church. I agree with Seth Rollins sucks. Doesn't feel like Monday Night Raw. I think it's time for Raw to go on a new night. Friday Night Raw, if they move to a new network, and it's not going to be on TNT. Same network that Vince buries Nitro to the ground during the final Nitro episode in 2021, okay? Yeah, Seth Rollins just isn't interested.
Oh, he's a wee AEW mark, this guy.
AEW Dynamite is the best wrestling show of 2023. WWE drones can't talk shit about Tony Khan all you want, but Dynamite delivered solid wrestling characters and segments. Okay, there's no solid characters, so there is no solid segments, and there is no solid wrestling. It's a bunch of guys doing flips and super kicks and dives and injuring each other. There is no fucking selling, okay? There is no wrestling. For someone that thinks Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest of all time, you surely can't watch Dynamite and think that anyone on that show can hold a fucking candle to Shawn Michaels. So, respectively going to disagree. Project DLT said, to be honest, I had massive hope for AEW. Early on it was fucking great, but now it's just so sad and hard to watch. Even New Japan puts on a better show than AEW. NXT is good for what it is, but there are a few good talents in NXT, but the rest are just not that enjoyable to watch. They're just not that good. I kind of agree. I think as much as I think NXT has a lot of like good young talent that I think have got future, I think the roster's so big that there's at least half the people on the roster that I have no interest in. For me, you want to make NXT better? I think you cut the roster in half and you just have more screen time. Instead of people being one and done, you could just have the people appear more often throughout the night. I think that'd be a better way of making NXT good. I'd rather see people like Braun Breaker and things like... I'd rather see them 2 or 3 times a show than just one and done and then people that we don't care about. So, yeah, that's my opinion there. That's it. That's it, really. Okay, that's it. Nothing about Raw or SmackDown. So I guess... I don't know. Don't know what he voted for.
Ben Roman says NXT so underrated every PLE was a banger.
I can't tell. I like some of the NXT superstars, but with the card, how bad are you ending up with looking like a few bad amateur matches? Probably I would. I think when you get to the NXT cards, there is always a few matches on it that you're just not really wanting to see. You're not really interested in.
But that's no different from the main roster. So.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I seen a main roster premium live event where I felt like all the matches were worthwhile.
Yeah. Disgrace.
You know what? You could even go as far as staying back in the glory days. So there was always a match or two that you didn't really...
Yeah, of course.
Well, there's not many cards.
I think especially in the Attitude Era.
Yeah, there's not many cards that I think have full of great wrestlers and whatnot. Adam Mazmi says, why is Dynamite there? Well, Dynamite is there because there is 3 WWE shows, and that leaves one more spot because there's four options in the polls, and I think that Dynamite was probably the best AEW. I think you can't pick Rampage, that's effectively a B show, and Collision has been around for less than half the year, and it's just turned into Dynamite. I think Collision, hands down, and I'm not just saying this because Punk was there, but Collision, while Punk was in AEW, was better than Dynamite. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it was.
But he's not been there for a while. I mean, he was there for the first 2.5 months. It's not been good since then. So therefore, I'm not going to put Collision on this just because for 2.5 months of the year, it was better than Dynamite. You still look at Dynamite, it is what it is. It's had the majority, like Edge coming in, it's had all the big returns and whatnot. So, I mean, I think Dynamite has to be on this over Collision. Ducky Pie said SmackDown, they treat the women like they're shit. Sometimes not even a single women's match. Yeah, that works for me, man. Works for me, buddy. And it has the highest rating. Wonder if there's a correlation. There's no correlation. People are fed up with the bloodline, but knowing WWE, they love to screw the WWE universe.
I'm going to go on a limb and say some of the worst stuff in wrestling today is Charlotte, Asuka, and what do you call them? Damage Control?
Damage
That is
control.
Some of the worst wrestling you will see, right? In segments. And you know what? They actually take up a decent portion of SmackDown. Then yeah, you might not see a women's match, but why the fuck would I want to see these people wrestle?
True, but can we claim the women's division's any better on Raw when you've got Rhea Ripley who just looks like a fucking man burying everybody, and then the rest of the division is made up of like Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, the rainbow-haired warrior Tegan Nox. I mean, Raw's doing absolutely nothing for me.
I'm not going to pretend Raw's great, but I just feel like on SmackDown there's much more emphasis on them because Reigns ain't there, and it's almost like, well, this is the main belt. We've got Charlotte Flair. I don't know. I don't notice it as bad on Raw as I do with SmackDown.
You know what? Fuck it. I think they need to bring Sasha Banks back. I think Sasha Banks could make a difference. Even when she was there, I was never I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan, but I just felt like she came out, and I think out of all the women, she just looked important. She had a character. I just think she looked the part. Sasha Banks never really annoyed me.
No, yeah, no.
I never it wasn't like Charlotte where I'm like, get the fuck off the TV. I never felt that with Sasha Banks. You know what? Maybe this year and a half away for the company's done her good. I think the WWE women's division. I mean, if you're not going to bring Sasha Banks, at least call up some women for NXT.
Yeah. No, I know, totally.
But they seem to do that and they just get lost in the shuffle.
Let's move on to board now. Is that what you are of our fids? Hopefully not. Probably SmackDown. I think it's been a better year for WWE overall, not a good year for AEW in my opinion. I agree.
Yeah,
especially the way they've ended it. I mean, they've got Punk. I think the fact that WWE got Punk back and AEW lost him, it wouldn't matter what they're doing on TV. That's the biggest play that could have happened. Off screen. But here, WWE, better year. AEW, like we said there, it's only going to get worse. And it will get worse. Don't see how it gets better.
It's going to get worse, buddy. So, Mark Exposed, last comment, said WWE, love heart, love heart, love heart, love heart, love heart. Yes, yes, yes. So there you go, guys. WWE Raw. I disagree with him, but the votes are in. SmackDown wins. Raw in second. Dynamite in third. NXT in fourth. Controversial? Yes, but it's your guys' opinion. So well done to SmackDown for winning the FOG Awards. Best brand of the year. We'll catch you for more awards later tonight and tomorrow. Happy New Year, guys. We'll see you later. Peace.